Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Tender. It is Friday. Welcome, everybody. It's June 7th, 2024. We are going to go through SPY on multiple time frames. Down at the 65, we'll scroll through the VIX, QQQ, and IWM. We are still bullish. The small caps, we just had one more low there. So make sure you stick around for that. And I've been recommending that people watching my new YouTube channel to go ahead and put your watch speed on 1.5 and get all the information, watch the whole video all the way through, and that way you can watch multiple videos and get this information fast. Okay, other than that, I'm going to talk fairly slow, and I want to describe and teach as I go. So make sure you hit that notification bell, and don't forget to like the video. I already made a video of Lulu for the members if you're interested in that. So we have SPY on the monthly time frame all the way back to 2000. We have a wedge top. We're getting near that top. We're getting closer. I do think we test it. Here's the wedge bottom. So we have two wedges in there. If you want to use this top here, that's much more steep. So I don't know if that's the case. That would bring us, really high up here, the 590. I don't think that's there, but we have to keep that there for reference, okay? Now, in the past videos, if you want to watch the rest, I'll go through those targets and different time frames of how we get those. I will go over those once again. We want to reiterate them and kind of show our path over and over. So these videos kind of, they go along with each other. Each and every time I make one, it's with new information. All right. So we use the 8 exponential moving average as our momentum indicator and our 20 simple moving average as our trend indicator on all time frames. Okay, so right now we're above the 8. We're continuing to push. This is the month, so we have plenty of time left on here, and I do suspect we'll test this 545 area up above us. It's really close, especially on this time frame. We're about 10 points away on the SPY. That's 100 points away on SPX or ES. And I do map those out as well. So if you're interested in SPX or ES, just let me know. I use SPY because people mostly trade SPY, and I want to be friendly to those who trade SPY. Let's go down to the weekly. On the weekly time frame, we're really showing the same thing. I have the top, very top here, the wedge here. We have a little bit of confluence from this channel, potential channel. There's only one touch on the bottom here, but I want to keep that there in the future to see if that becomes a point of interest to go long for a minimum of bounce or so. We'll talk about that when it comes, but right now the confluence, we're right here at 543, 545 area. We'll continue to talk about that coming up. Past FOMC, we should hit this target fairly soon. So on the weekly time frame, we got below the 8, but held on to the trend indicator, the 20 simple moving average, got back above the 8, and now we have momentum to the upside. So we're just clearly bullish on this, and we're going to continue to build these divergences, but we're bullish until we get some sort of shown, some weakness, or we hit our targets. So if you take the different oscillators, we're already forming bearish divergence on all time frames, but I want to show the weekly here as well. So we're just the divergence is already here. Even if we go a little bit higher, it's not going to change anything here, but we might, if we get some sort of dip like we did here, this played out already, we're getting a lower high. That's the RSI negative divergence as well. And we'll keep an eye on the slow stoke. This could easily move sideways for a little bit, but we'll be looking for a solid crossover on that slow stoke. But we have to keep that in mind. If we hit our target and then we start to cross over on some of these indicators, that's very bearish, and you better believe we'll be trading that to the downside. For now, bullish. On the daily time frame, Daily trend is our friend. We'll start off with the visual, our traditional technical analysis, and we're filling out the wedge. Excuse me one second. All right, so we're filling out the wedge right now to the upside. And so visually, what could happen is we're looking for this target to reach up here. I have this kind of mapped out. We have this 545 area and this confluence of all these different trend lines here. Very important, okay? And then I think we reject off of there. And on SPY, this is getting so thin here in the wedge. We could form a, if we break down from the wedge, we could have support and go to new highs. That is a possibility. And right now, with the Fed not pivoting yet, I think this is a good possibility, okay? Things change if the Fed pivots. Then this is probably the high, and we'll be looking for lower prices. All right, so we are looking for a 5-wave move up for an A, a B, and a C at this point to end off our ending diagonal. So when we get to here, and then we'll talk about, this isn't where necessarily the point is going to be where we get a, and it does kind of coincide perfect right there. That would be great if that's exactly what happened. But we'll talk about support later on. But right now we want to focus on getting up here. We're above that 8 EMA again. Tested the 20 simple moving average, got back above it. And so we're looking to continue this move higher. And while we're looking for those moves higher, we have many names that we're looking for. Individual names we're long. PayPal has worked out fantastic. I'll post those videos that I did earlier. Maybe you can check those out and see how I got there. Those were public. And then, so we have Boeing as well. That was a good one that played out. We're still on Boeing, and we rolled out to 28th of June, I believe. So we have some time on those options. All right. For those that are new here, here's our primary scenario with time relationships. Okay, so right now we're looking for a 5-wave move up, being an ending diagonal, and that's not the case with QQQ. We're looking for a 5-wave move, a regular impulse move to the upside for QQQ. So an ending diagonal is made up of 3 waves apiece. So this looks like 3 waves for 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally 5 up here. And our targets are these red lines, that being the ultimate line. Here would be the 560. Right now, in the near term, clear this up a bit. So in the near term, we're looking at the 150% extension at, guess what, 545 area. So we have FOMC coming up next Wednesday. That could be a catalyst that brings us up there. Maybe that, we don't know what's going to happen. It could just wiggle back and forth, and then we get our move the next day. But we'll be looking for the target to be 545 before or after FOMC. I'm not sure how that'll play out. That's not what we do. But time-wise, after FOMC, we do have the 17th and the 21st. So perhaps the 17th, we get an acceleration from FOMC, and the 17th comes by. And then we'll be looking for a reversal, and we will play that reversal as well. Okay, so the 17th, if you're looking at time and price relationships, and what do I mean by that? We get these lines from, first of all, the targets came from this move here. From the correction, we have an extension of our first target. Here was 127, got there, rejected. Second target was here, 138, got it, rejected. And now our next one is 150, and then after that is the 162 extension. All right, the most important ones to be the 127 and the 168, the top one. All right. So time and price, you see these blue lines? I'll highlight one. This is a high here, the high of that wave A. This is a low here. So that's a high to low relationship, and it gives us extensions out here, time extensions. So that's how you get time to price. So we have over here high to high, we have high to high to high to, we have all sorts of them. All right, that's why you get these clusters. And so when you start to get some clusters, then you really have to start paying attention. Are we near a target? Are we near resistance or support? So it doesn't give us a directional move, but when price gets to these time relationships and is at significant support or resistance, we know that there's a possible setup there. And so we'll be looking for a setup. At this point, it looks like we'll be looking for a setup to go short when this plays out. And then we have a real good cluster right here. You see that towards the beginning of July, and then towards the end of July, I think we have a weekly cluster as well. So those are, when you get the higher the time frame, the more important it is. Okay, moving to the 65. And then we're going to check out Tesla. I didn't say that in the beginning, so sorry if I'll put that in the title. So again, we're filling out this wedge, getting a move above, kind of strong today. We rejected off for a minute here. Now it looks like we're getting near. It looks like we have a 5-wave move somewhere in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if going into, I don't know, the end of the day, Monday, Tuesday, that we get some sort of correction sideways into FOMC. And this looks like a 1, 2, and then we should be completing 3 somewhere around here. Get a wave 4 into a FOMC, and then a wave 5 into our target areas. So, you know, this line that we're projecting here continues to look valid. And so on this lower time frame, being the 65, perhaps we get a low into FOMC, and then we start to launch off from there. So maybe we get rejection going into Monday, Tuesday, get some weakness, and a wave 4 off of this move. That's a wave 1, 2, 3. And then if we get some sort of wave 4 flat pattern or triangle into FOMC, that could be our time frame where we go up. And let's look at this on the Elliott wave. So we have highlighted, it's the 613 area, 611, so right in here somewhere. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I have to clean this up a bit, but this looks like a little bit of a cluster. So maybe we get our reversal, our top here on 611, which would be Tuesday, and then we get a drop going into FOMC for 612, this little cluster. I don't know how far that would go down, but it should not cross this wave 1 high here, okay? Should not cross below, cross this line, or else it would be an invalid impulse. And we're not looking for an ending diagonal at this point. It's not that kind of structure. This should be impulsive. And so again, maybe we should draw this out and see if this plays out. We'll revisit this to where we go higher into Tuesday. Excuse me, guys. Let's clean this. Boom, boom. Get a move higher here. Get a turnaround Tuesday. Get some lows here. We'll perhaps hold this 127 again. Doesn't have to go that low. Could be just a sideways move. And then we hit, oops. And then we hit our targets going into some of these time frames. We had the 6.8 here and the 6.21. And notice we had the 6.21 also on the daily time frame. So that might be significant there. So that would complete possibly this entire move. All right, possibly in this entire move, and that would be the 162 extension off of that larger correction we got back here a few weeks ago. All right, so that's the same thing we do on different time frames to get our extensions. We already hit the 127 extension, and then I'll add in the 138 and the 150. I kept them out to keep it a little bit more clean, but notice we hit this 138, got a little rejection, and maybe we push through until Tuesday. We get some follow through on Monday, push through on Tuesday, maybe we get the 150, just like on that higher time frame, get our reversal from there, get a low into the significance of FOMC, and then make one more high up here in the 162. That would be ideal. And then from there, we'll talk about whether that move is over or we have an ABC correction from there. So that's as detailed as I can get so far to let you know what's happening. Now let's go over to Qs, just kind of see what's on the lower time frames. We're forming sort of a wedge here, so we could get rejection off of the Qs. We could hold on. It looks like we're trying to hold above that and continue higher. That's possible. What I was thinking with the strength of small caps, I was thinking that the small caps would take over, but it looks like we're going to continue to grind to the upside on the Qs. But I think if we start to reverse off the Qs, then in order for SPY to continue to the upside, then we're going to have something take over, and that's where IWM would come in. And we're at a perfect support here on IWM. Let's look at it the daily, because I drew that in. This is what I posted earlier. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, also triangulating. So we're in this equilibrium. I thought we were going to have a higher low yesterday, but we broke down and hit the trend. So this is a fabulous setup. It's symmetrical. You have a channel here as well. And so I think really early on, we're going to start to see some liftoff here. And going into FOMC, I think we're really going to take over with small caps. And so we're long a lot of small cap names as well. And we'll be looking for more throughout next week. So I think this one has a lot more potential to the upside. And we talked about those targets yesterday, so check that video out, and I'll post it so you can just click on it at the end. Now VIX. I was going to look on a 65, but we're on the daily anyway, so we're drawing a channel now. We were in a wedge. We broke out from the wedge. We're either considered a back test of the wedge, or this can continue lower to the bottom of the major wedge here and make a new low. But now we're considered in a channel, assuming at this point, that's just an assumption that we'll make a new low, because it hasn't already. But with that said, so that's perfect, a perfect channel there. We'll look for some lows, and that low should happen as price is starting to hit that final target that we're talking about at 545. So this should continue lower. We're underneath the 8 EMA, rejecting off the 20 right now. So this should allow price action to go higher on the market. And then we'll be talking about, after this starts to get lower, we're going to start talking about some short trades getting bearish, and this channel, the price action should break out of this channel. We should be bearish on the market, and we'll go from there. So that's how we look at these things. Now let's take a look at Tesla. Let's go from the monthly down. I think Tesla is looking really, really good. It didn't form the way I wanted it to, but on the higher time frames, nothing has changed. As a matter of fact, it's starting to look better now. So we have what looks like a triangle. So we're in a consolidation area or an equilibrium. And so far we're in an inside month, the double inside month. So we have a lot of potential energy stored up in here. And I'll post my other videos. It shows some of the indicators. We have we have monthly and weeklies curling up, looking for a bull cross. So this potentially is in breakout mode, and at minimum, we're looking to get to the top of the triangle here, potential triangle. And if we get up here, and if the market wants to reject and maybe the Qs go down with it, maybe it comes down here for an A, B, C, D, E. Maybe it's a true triangle. And then the market wants to go up to that 560 last target. This would be a great candidate to help lift it with a massive breakout. Okay, so that's just a possibility. A massive move from Tesla could really help push the market to go to 560 if it wants to gain that very end target, and the Fed doesn't pivot and things like that. So we're really getting ahead of ourselves, but this is just a consolidation at this point. We're underneath the 8, all the EMAs except for the 100 and the 200, but right now it's just because everything's going sideways. All right, the 50 is still headed up. All right, something to take note. Headed to the weekly. The weekly time frame, you can also draw this as a channel or a bull flag, a fake break back into it, rejected, got our bottom, we caught the bottom, and now we're starting to firm up. We're going sideways, but we're getting squeezed between the 8 EMA and the 20 simple moving average. And so that's going to be a huge, we're going to break out next week. I think it's very probable we break out. We're in that inside month, and now we have just sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So we have a lot of energy. When this move happens, it's going to happen quick. Let's go to the daily. Trend is our friend. All right, and so on the daily time frame, I still have this flag kind of sitting here. So we're looking to test the top of this, and it could happen all in a couple days here. I mean, this move could happen in a couple days. Do I think it's going to break out? I don't know, but I'm not going to be playing until we get up there. We have a lot of gaps to close. Really getting tight price action all of these days in here, and we're starting to firm up on top of that 50 simple moving average, and everything's going sideways. But we're sort of, again, firming on top, and I'll show you on the 65 what I mean when we get there. And then we're squeezing between the 100 and the 50. All right. Well, there's A and B to B. It's starting to get a little bit of move there. We're looking for that setup to play out. We have that members video out already. Let's see, on the Elliott wave, which one? Elliott wave, saying that we have a top in. I'm looking for one more move. Let's see, where this is an A, a B, and then we have a C wave move up here. Now this B could, it potentially, we're riding on this 62. I think this is a good area, but potentially we could have one more move down before heading higher, and I'm going to show you that on the 65. So let's go ahead and go there. This doesn't give too much information right now. So let's go first traditional. So this was playing out. I thought it was going to be just a straight triangle at first, and then we got a new low underneath this low, okay, but held. And we're looking at this 200 moving average on the 65 minute, and it's starting to curl up. This has been a great indicator for trend, and now we're getting support on it. It's starting to curl up, and we're gaining support and momentum. We're knocking on this downtrend here, and not sure that we get a push up here by end of day, but you see things starting to curl up. I do think we break out next week. And I have the potential left shoulder, head, and right shoulder at this point. I'm considering this a head and shoulder setup, not a triangle setup anymore. Not a huge deal to consider. Now, you can look at this two different ways. It hasn't changed. I did this earlier. I thought that was going to happen earlier. So Still could break down into next week. That's our secondary situation. So we're at the 50% retracement of this entire move. Held on to the 50%. And 62, I always have to be careful when we only make it to the 50. All right. 50 is really good for an ABC. So this is very valid. But if this is a 1-2 setup, that's pretty shallow. We're looking much more bullish than I would typically think that the 62 or even down to the 7-8. But this is holding well above the 50. And this would be our secondary situation if we break down. We have to be careful of that. So we have this time frame coming in. Our primary scenario is that this consolidates and breaks out into next week. And now we have a time factor. This cluster, huge. We have tons of time relationships coming in here on the daily as well, going into FOMC. So do we have a true triangle? And I mapped it out. If this is a triangle and we get a rejection into FOMC, remember I said the market is possibly going to get a rejection into FOMC. If this does the same and holds on to maybe that 200, but comes down to about halfway, the bow and arrow support and resistance, this could be an A down here. Maybe you want to see the whole thing. So you have your initial move up, an A in that blue, B, C at this low, and I have the significant lows in the blue lines there for time relationships, D and E should not break down below here. Then that's a possible actual triangle rather than the A, B, C setup down here, and this is a 1-2. Okay, so any of those could play out, but either one that I'm talking about right now should resolve into FOMC and then much higher afterwards. All right, I hope this helps. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll try to do another video later, maybe on Sunday. If not, then we'll be back on Monday. All right. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Leave some comments. Let me know what else I could do for you. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you next video.